Another Day, Another Movie tie-in. Anyone who's played enough of these things knows why there's an obvious stigma attached to them. They usually suck. The reason for this is because nearly every time, whatever hapless developer gets saddled with making a licensed movie game isn't given the proper time, team, or budget to do so. Deadlines in particular are a problem, since theatrical release dates for the kind of popcorn fodder, also why there won't be game tie-ins for The Social Network or The New Wall Street that lends itself to tie-in games, are hard and fast. Developers usually have less than a year to get the game ready to ship by the time people are lining up for its celluloid counterpart at the box office. The result is games that play and are designed like crap, generally. In any case, it's always good to go into a licensed game with low expectations, since expecting anything above disappointment with such games is almost assuredly an exercise in either tragedy or futility, depending on your penchant for emoting over wasted cash. This was more or less my thought process going into Despicable Me, a forgettable-looking game based on an equally, despite Steve Carell's best efforts, forgettable-looking CG kids film. Oh boy, time to slog through 8 or so hours of poorly designed and shoddily balanced gameplay, I thought. So imagine my surprise when Monkey Bar instead made a game that was only about 3 hours long. I was surprised at Despicable Me's short length, but I guess that's as good a way as any to get around the whole lack of quality problem endemic in movie tie-ins. The game is actually a competent, if tedious, puzzle platformer. The game revolves around Gru, Steve Carell's Russian Bond-esque villain of the film, stealing pieces for a rocket that he plans to use to steal the moon and thus become the most despicable villain of all time. There's 2 ways Gru can go about doing this, either taking matters into his own hands during the platforming sections or making use of his minions during the puzzle sections when the would-be master villain inexplicably gets stuck behind a door or laser barrier. If you've played a puzzle planomer at any time ever, you know how to play this game. Gru's various guns, innocuously armed with air, ice, magnetism, and webbing, can interact with level-based objects in various ways, and the minions can be used to reach environs, or more importantly, switches, thus helping Gru get past whatever his present obstacle is. The level design is Klonoa Style 2.5D. Parents, if you want to get your kids a great family-friendly platformer, albeit one that's not much longer, you might want to try that one. Steve Carell breaks the fourth wall to taunt you about how much you suck at video games. You only have so many minions that you can use at once per puzzle. Gru can double jump. You get the idea. To the game's credit, some of the platforming sections can get challenging, with more complex navigations between fast-moving obstacles, rotating or moving traps, and timed or skill-based environmental hazards. This is largely negated by the fact that the game gives you unlimited lives, but it's a kid's game, so you can't really expect a Bionic Commando rearmed level of challenge. For any younger players, though, it's probably a good thing that the developers put in a skip whatever platforming challenge you're repeatedly getting killed on option that pops up the same way toggling easy mode in combo-based action games does. You're not penalized for using this feature either, other than possibly missing out on some extra items. The puzzles work the same way, though. If you want to skip them, you have to use special instructional tokens that show you a vague outline of the solution. By justification that can only be explained by game design, following a platforming section of any given level, everything becomes puzzle-based, trapping Gru behind barriers of all kinds. You can summon minions with a bazooka, then use them as stepping stones, blocks, balloons to hit ceiling switches, fans, bouncy tires, and other things, depending on how Gru uses his 4 guns. Of course, since the minions can't do anything without Gru's direct help, all puzzles are exercises in ordering actions and knowing how and where to manipulate your minions. Pretty standard practice for a puzzle platformer, in other words. These actually provide a modicum of challenge, though admittedly it's sometimes because it's a little unclear if whatever manipulation you're engaging in is actually doing anything or not. For whatever reason, the developers also decided to throw some shooting segments into the mix, as Gru's ship has to protect the Minion's craft after retrieving a part for the rocket. Anyone with any arcadey flight game experience will do fine, although for younger players it might test the reflexes a little bit. Though I found these sections tedious, as I did with the consecutive puzzle approach of the game's brain-teasing bits. They're over quickly, as is the game. Although I did catch myself actually mildly enjoying the platforming segments of the game. Despicable Me is too short to really be worthwhile, unless for whatever reason you're a huge fan of the film and happen to stumble on the game for a maximum of $5. It's competent, and in terms of movie games, it's actually better than a lot of others I've played. However, it's not really memorable, and isn't that one of the most despicable offenses a game can commit?
That was fun, but it can be useful too. Now, some buttons, like that yellow one, stay down when pressed. Go ahead, step on it. Now, others, like that red one, only stay down if there's something holding them down. Order a minion onto the button and make an ice block, like you did before. Good! Now, you should be able to use ice block minions to weigh down just about anything, and to act as floating platforms in water. Not that I've tried that, of course. Your air gun should also affect the minions, I think. Order a single minion to stand directly below the button on the ceiling, and then hit him with the air gun. Oh, he's got a bit of an inflated opinion of himself, hasn't he? Well, at least he's good at pressing overhead buttons and lifting things, I suppose. You can also make minion towers. Now place a tower formation on your side of that gap in the floor and blast it with your air gun.
Perhaps something else then?
Oh, he's got a bit of an inflated opinion of himself, hasn't he? Well, at least he's good at pressing overhead buttons and lifting things, I suppose. Your air gun should also affect the minions, I think. Order a single minion to stand directly below the button on the ceiling, and then hit him with the air gun. You can also make minion towers. Now place a tower formation on your side of that gap in the floor and blast it with your air gun. You can use a minion bridge to cross gaps, to support other formations, and to catch falling objects. Now, let's try the circle formation. Set up a circle formation and then hit it with the air gun. You have a minion fan club! See how it moves the floating minion so it can get to the overhead button? You can get rid of a formation when you don't need it anymore. Use the controls to cycle through your formations and disband the fan. Good! When you don't have enough minions to make new formations, you can just get rid of formations you don't need anymore to free some up. Well, don't just stand there. Get going! I wonder what would happen if you used the freeze ray and the air gun together. Shouldn't be too dangerous. Let's give it a go. Let's see. Why not try operating that button there using ice and wind? So make an ice block and then blast it with the air gun. Whoops. I wondered where I put that thing. Well, no matter. Let's see if we can get it out of your way. Make a circle formation and freeze it with the freeze ray. Then blast the ice ball with the air gun to roll it into the statue. You can also make an ice tower, which blocks openings and stops wind from fans and stuff like that. Go ahead and make one. Now, let's see what the air gun does to it. Well, that wasn't very useful, was it? Ahead of you is a puzzle map pickup. Each one provides details on how to complete one puzzle of your choice. To use a puzzle pickup when you're in a puzzle room, go to the puzzle room zoom mode and activate the puzzle map. And scroll through the steps. Pick it up and try it.
Oh, very nice.